folks, I'm Dave McPherson. He not here tonight. He's just and the reason for that, work-related issues. So you know what? No big deal. I'm a big boy. I can handle this on my own. But tonight we have a special guest because, again, we've tried to talk to you folks about this 1,000 times. We don't want to be genre specific. We know 80s rock. That's Sean and I's gig. But you know what? We're trying to get ourselves a little bit more familiar with different brands and styles and genres of music. And we have some, I'm not sure, I'm going to ask them categorize what they do. More like an indie rock. We'll let them categorize it. There's some cool music, and the band that we're going to talk to tonight, two members of Dali Van Gogh. We have Isaac and Rachelle, and I'm going to bring them on right away. So how's that? Dali Van Gogh, here we go. It'll be this side, I bet you. Oh, this side. There they are, Isaac and Rachelle. Welcome to the show.
How's it going?
Good, thank you. It's been Barstools and Bandtalk. Yeah,
Beautiful.
I covered up Sean earlier. It's like, this guy, no, this guy. He's not
That
here.
one.
Yeah. All about me. So welcome. Thank you for being on the show. This is our second time trying this. So this is, I said to
Yes.
Sean, like, man, I can handle it. I said, we tried this before and it works good. It's, life gets in the way. It's strange times, and we just want to try and, accommodate everybody we can. And I'm really happy that you're here. So I want to hear your whole story from the beginning. So
I don't know if you really, how much time you got?
10 minutes. I'm just teasing.
Well, let's see. We're a band. No, I mean, the funny thing is, and you got the right people here for it, is the band started, its genesis was like 2000, when were we doing? 2008. So it started in 2008.
Oh, 2007, actually.
Oh, 7?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 2007, Rachelle and I were in like a kind of like a pop rock sort of out of high school project called 8 Days to Saturday, with a couple other people in there. And that, I mean, it was a high school band. Like, it was just, compared to what we're doing now, is just us kind of goofing around. We spent a lot of time setting ping pong balls on fire and stuff like that. We wrote a couple songs, and we won a contest to record some music with, what was his name? It's at Denmark Productions here in Halifax.
Dennis Field.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So we won a contest there, recorded a single, put that out a little bit, didn't really do anything with it. And then Rachelle and I had a falling out and hated each other for like a decade. Like, just wanted to kill each other.
Well, then I went off to school.
Yep.
I went and studied music, so I didn't have time for outside stuff
like a normal
at the moment.
Yeah. So when she left that band, or that band kind of dissolved, the then bass player, Megan McKenzie, and I, we'd become very close, and we were like, okay, we wanted to do something that wasn't like this kind of pop-centric, proto kind of emo thing. We wanted to do more of a hard rock, 80s throwback type thing. And that's where Dali Van Gogh begun. One of the first songs we wrote, Heavy Living, last year was its like 10th anniversary. Because I originally wrote it back when she was, we were still hanging out. And then fast forward to January of last year, so January 2019, and we were in need of a new keyboard player, and that's how someone posted something on Facebook, and I was like, hey, you want to come audition? And she killed it, and that's how we ended up back here.
Oh, and you're all getting along better now, then, are you?
Pardon me?
So you're all getting along better now?
Much better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we grew up, stopped with teenage drama and stuff.
We both had really big egos then. We were both stubborn.
We still have really big egos now.
Yeah.
I don't believe it. I blame Isaac. I think he was the arsehole in the whole situation. I blame him.
I probably was.
Yes, he was.
Honestly, I probably was. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It was pretty rough. But oddly enough, again, a couple of the early songs were like written about the animosity between us, and we had the song "Weight of the World," which made Rachelle hate me even more. But that was like a big early single for us. It was one of our first songs to really get some radio play in the United States.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So it was really funny how it's all kind of come all the way back around, and now Rachelle's in the band, and she was featured on. She's a keyboard player and does a lot of vocal stuff in the band. She's a really gifted vocalist, even more so than a keyboard player. But what we were looking for was a keyboard player, because we've had John Scotto as our lead vocalist for 5 or maybe it's even 6 years now. But Rachelle came in. We had already done the keyboard parts for the record, so she came in on the last album, just playing or just kind of adding her vocal sparkle to everything, which really kind of brought it up a level. Now we got this new single coming out that I was talking to you about a little bit earlier, that I'm sure we'll talk more about. That is the first time that Rachelle's gotten to actually put her keyboard parts into one of our songs, so that's really cool.
Finally.
And it's also going to be the debut recording, at least, for our new bass player, Lance Hicks.
Nice.
Yeah. So Lance joined the band, what is it, 6 months ago?
It was right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning of the pandemic. We had
Just
all
before.
these gigs lined up, and he's all excited and ready to go. And the guy busted his ass learning, 3 hours of our material so that we could go do, here and there. We've got a really good relationship with the Fleet Club here in Halifax.
Right.
And so, and with the Canadian military in general, if it weren't for the pandemic, we would be gearing up to go on a cross-Canada basis tour right now. That would have been we would have been 30 dates. Wow. We would have been away for probably 6 weeks. Obviously, that's a no dice at the moment, as is much of touring and stuff. But anyway, so Lance got all geared up, and then it was like, wah, wah, nothing happening, right?
See each other anymore.
We couldn't. We didn't even jam. Even we didn't do the family bubble or anything as the band. We decided, okay, let's just everyone.
Well, the family bubble didn't exist then.
Well, initially there was no option. They just wanted everybody to separate apart. As things kind of started to open back up, I mean, more so it was as we started being allowed to have friends in the bubbles and things like that. So before the stuff opened up, we all got back together and we started working on new material. We started working on the new material. We kind of set it like homework for the band while we were all separate.
Well, that's smart, for sure.
It was what we could do, right? We couldn't jam, and we thought about the idea of doing something like doing a Zoom app or something like that to try. But the problem is, even here, which is great, there's still a little bit of delay. And as you know, because I see all the the instruments in the background, you're obviously a musician. It just you can't have that. It doesn't work, right? So we put together a single. We put together a totally different single first. That probably will come out later, but we put together a single that Johnny, our drummer, did some shopping around for producers on the back of the last album as everything was kind of wrapping up and we're looking at what comes next. This was pre-COVID, obviously. And we hooked up with a name that you'll know the bands, but you might not even know his name, Rob Laidlaw, who's he's the bass player for Honeymoon Suite and Platinum Blonde. Right. So he's produced this song, probably going to produce some more stuff for us, but this new song called Boneyard, which is what everything is about right now. As well, he produced it, and Adam Newcomb in Toronto mixed it. Newcomb's done a lot of work with, funny enough, not a lot with a lot of hard rock bands and stuff, but a lot with some new pop and hip hop and things like that. I'd have to look up some of it, but if you look up Adam Newcomb, for anyone out there who's, by the way, the guy did a spectacular job. Yeah, it's kind of insane. We've always been really happy.
No, I think what specifically did you like about his mixing? Like was it just the overall sound, or just?
It's a number of things, and it's hard to know what is specifically his mixing versus influence that Rob had. Right. Because it's all kind of, for us, it's a package, especially considering we didn't get to get in a studio with them. So we tracked everything at my studio here in Dartmouth, and then sent off the tracks, and then got back these mixes at various points. And funny enough, the very first mix that we got, we hated pretty much across the board. We thought it was, just didn't sound anything like us. And it was just one very small piece of miscommunication about kind of the direction we wanted the sound to go in.
It sounded good. It just wasn't our sound.
Yeah, it sounded very, we kind of tiptoe around metal all the time. Right, we're pretty, balls to the wall, in your face, hard rock band, but we do try to stay on the rock side of it, as much as we can. We've had some stuff that's been, it's kind of gone over the edge, but this one, the way they mixed it was just this massive monstrous thing that, again, yeah, Rachelle was right. It sounded great, but it just didn't sound like us. But literally all I had to say was basically it sounds like Lamb of God or something.
Right. Okay.
And I said, we're not looking for that. We're looking for more like Alice in Chains.
Okay.
Kind of, 90s era heavy.
So when you
Maybe
talk
even
about
Pantera.
throwback, you're talking more like the industrial rock throwback. That's kind of what your sounds like, Nine Inch Nails.
It's
that kind
certainly
of thing,
that time frame, but the music's not like that.
So what is
music
your sound
is very.
I want to know now because I'm curious because I tried to explain it at the beginning of the intro. I was like, well, they're kind of hard rock, but not metal, but kind of like. So I'll let them explain.
It's heavy.
What sound is. So
it's
what is
heavy. What would you describe as well?
When people ask me what kind of music we play, I usually just say hard rock.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know what else to call it. It's kind of hard to pinpoint anything because many bands even tiptoe around different genres. There's so many subgenres, so it really is hard to pick one.
Yeah, this song I could certainly say is in like the ballsy heavy metal side, sort of like Shine Down, or some of the heavier bits of Monster Truck, New Alice in Chains, that kind of thing, where it's very heavy, but it's not like, there's not blast beats. There's no there's a little bit of kind of growly vocals, but not super extreme. But the band in general, we've been lucky enough to have musicians that were talented enough to do a lot of different things. We've had acoustic ballads that you could hear on a country station pretty easily, or certainly a soft rock station. And then we've had stuff that's been on one of our very early songs called The Demon was on a Best of North America compilation album for the best metal. And we were up in there with like really extreme death metal and things like that. So we appeal sort of on purpose, but certainly if not, then accidentally to a very broad audience, which we're trying to obviously, keep and keep going. So it's rock, it's hard rock, can change a little bit song to song. This lately, for whatever reason, I play in a Alice in Chains tribute band with my brother.
Okay.
And so when the pandemic hit, I even considered just going, hey, you want to like track a grunge album? Do you want to do something? But he didn't even want to get together to do that. And I was like, hey, well, fair, right? Because we were all social distancing, and he's a med student at Dalhousie, and so he's kind of got he's I don't want to say more freaked out. He's better informed than any of us even, right? In theory.
Touche. Yeah,
right?
That makes sense. Yeah.
So he was really big on nope, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in my house, and that was fine. And so I took some of the stuff that I had sitting around from the last album. So since Dali Van Gogh came back in 2015, 2016 timeframe, because we had a hiatus in the middle of that when we lost our first singer back in 2014 or late 2013 maybe. Since it came back, we put out 2 albums. So From Ashes, which we wrote right after I had a house fire and lost my recording studio and all of my possessions and everything. And that story's kind of been beat to death. If anyone wants to know more about it, it's all over our website, DaliVanGoghmusic.com. Our bio, half of our bio is just me ranting about this fire. But the reason it's there is because that's the reason that I picked up Dali again. That I decided, let's do this. If I got to get all new band members, then I get all new band members. Right. And I'm not done with this. Because prior to that, I was when I started kind of doing the record label thing and doing some recording with other bands and just kind of getting more into the business end of it as opposed to playing. And if it hadn't, I'd like to think that I probably would have done it anyways, but certainly the fire was the kick in the ass that got me to go, hey, remember, you want to play, right. And you want to perform, you want to do that side of it. The other stuff was supposed to be to help pay for it. Right? Yeah. So that record's dark for obvious reasons. A lot of the music is written by me, but a number of the lyrics are written by me. So I was going through like a bad time with the fire. The more recent album, very purposefully, we kind of tried to go for more of, I don't want to say poppy, but a party rock kind of feel. Club rock type thing.
It's definitely lighter.
Yeah, July Talk and some bands like that. It's much lighter than the previous album. So because of that, I had this kind of side of me, because I'm into grunge music and the 90s Alice in Chains and 90s era Metallica and 90s early 90s Guns N' Roses and stuff, right? Stuff that's in your face but not super duper metal. That I had this material sitting around that I was I had written and or was writing, that initially, again, with that last album, wasn't the right fit. Now that we're kind of starting what the next phase is, and sort of because the world's in a different place now, right? That we've tried hard to kind of always be reflective of what's going on in the world. John, our singer, writes a lot of very he'll write political songs, and he writes stuff that's very reflective of kind of what he's seeing in the world around us. And I do somewhat to that extent too. So this record is definitely has a darker tone. It's got more teeth. It's very high octane, and like no one's gonna listen to this and just be kind of, oh yeah, good song, I like that. Like, if you don't headbang to it, I don't know what to tell you, man. Turn it off. Go listen to something. We're the wrong band for you, obviously. So that's kind of where we're heading now, and we've been lucky enough that Rob embraced that in a huge way, and as did Adam. And this weekend, actually, we're going up and we're shooting a music video at the radar base out in the abandoned radar base in Beaverbank.
Right.
Which I don't know. Have you ever been up there? It is wild.
A long time ago. Yeah.
It's crazy, this building. It looks like someone bombed it. It's very cool. They went and they climbed right in through one of the windows into the building, and they're going to do some shots and stuff in there. So that's pretty exciting. It certainly fits the theme of the song, which lyrically is it's not doom and gloom, but it's very kind of John's pointing at humanity, and
a mirror towards humanity, really.
Yeah, and saying there's a lot of problems in the world. Most of them are our fault. But we like to pretend it's not, and we like to blame anyone but ourselves for things. And so that's kind of thematically where the song's at. And so we're working with Andrew Hartland, who's done our last few music videos. Andrew's amazing. Again, for any bands out there watching, looking for a guy to do some videography for them, highly recommend him. He's all over social media and stuff. He's very good. And then he brought in his assistant guy. Do you remember his name? He's got a young, like a student, I think.
No,
he's older than Andrew? Really? Okay, I didn't know that. Well, in any case, he's got a second guy coming who's got a whole bunch of very cool ideas. So we're looking forward to kind of rolling with whatever they have to say on Sunday.
So you guys only do original stuff, is that right?
Not exclusively.
Okay.
We do a lot of original stuff.
Recording wise, yes.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Live, we do throw in, a couple covers.
It depends on the show. Like,
true.
If we're playing the Fleet Club, for example, where we've got to play for 3 hours, admittedly, we have more than 3 hours of material. But do we have 3 hours of material that people care to hear? That's not necessarily the case, right? Even as long as I've been at this with Dali for over a decade. But even then, just like any band, we have 4 records under our belt. But off of each of those, there's 2 or 3 songs that people really like, and then it's stuff that the diehards are all super into, but the general public's kind of like, that doesn't work for me, right?
Especially when you're a house band, you really just kind of want to throw some rock classics, songs that everyone knows, like War Pigs. We throw in there, that one's a big hit, or even something as classic as like Born to Be Wild.
Yeah, because at the club's a very different venue too. It's where a house band playing to entertain, we're entertaining the troops and stuff, but it's not set up like a concert, right? We're just kind of in the bar playing, more like what you'd see a lot of cover bands around town doing. Right. Whereas outside of the Fleet Club, if you come to a Dali Van Gogh show, I wouldn't come there and pretend you're going to sit there and talk with your friend. I mean, first off, you're not going to be able to hear them.
You can't dance?
It's a concert.
Right.
Well, normally we would have people up and dance and stuff. I mean, we certainly have, walls of people headbanging and all this kind of thing, and people, slow dance to the ballads, or they get out. We had a really great moment at, we played the Carlton not that long ago, which, again, big shout out to those guys. It was the first, no one had done any plugged in shows since the pandemic had hit. And so these guys allowed us to kind of take the leap and open that door. And now we're starting to see them all over the place.
Okay.
But as far as we can tell, the first one was that show.
When was that?
And so that was
July 24th.
July 24th. Yeah.
Cool. Very good.
It was pretty quick after everything had opened back up. And they took, like, even the Carlton they'd only done acoustic shows.
Yep.
And since that show, they've done one other plugged in show. The rest have been acoustic. So it's, it's, which I understand. Like, it's scary for people to go out and about. And there's something, a hard rock band isn't the kind of band, certainly we're not the kind of band that usually translates well to sitting, right? We like crowds of people. We like energy. We want to get the crowd going, everyone pumping their fists and stuff. So it was certainly an adjustment.
Yeah, but it was different. It was interesting, actually.
It was cool in its own way
to see people trying to rock out as hard as they can while remaining seated.
Yes.
But it still worked out. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
It was
great.
time.
Yeah. I mean, there were people standing on their chairs, headbanging and stuff. And where I was going with that is there was a moment in that show where we played the big ballad off of our last record, which is called Long Way from Heaven, which is the song's written about kind of like an ode to soldiers coming back from war and dealing with PTSD. Okay. It's a duet between Rachelle and John. That is kind of both sides of what a couple might go through in that, and kind of adjusting to normal life again. But we had this really kind of touching moment where, like, we didn't ask anyone. Often in a show, we'll be like, okay, everyone get your lighters out, right? Because we're going to do the ballad now. But again, with everyone sitting, the interaction with the crowd was different. I mean, we certainly got talking to people and all that kind of thing. But that moment was when everyone really started to kind of come alive, because everyone just got their lighters out and their phones and everything, totally unsolicited. And I hope someone caught some video, because I haven't been able to find any yet. But it was touching the way it went down. I don't know how you felt. I mean, it was very emotional for me.
It was pretty nice.
Yeah, at least in comparison to how the other times we've done that song. Mm-hmm. It was different.
We talk about this on the show, and it's so funny because, I mean, as entertainers, this is kind of what we are at the end of the day. Is like, we're trying to, especially from in your perspective with writing the original music, you're taking your personal deep down feelings and emoting them. You know what I mean? And people have to feel that, and they've been missing that for a long time. So I don't doubt that there probably was a breakthrough moment, and it probably was, emotional and organic, and it was just very natural to have occurred. I'm always glad you didn't get it on video, because maybe some people it's just going to be one of those special memories that they're going to have.
Well,
I mean?
That's true. I mean, that's what it is for me, for sure now.
Yeah.
Is that's something I've talked about it in a number of interviews since then, and I can't get it out of my head. It was special. It was something I'll think about forever. But you're right. It's one of those things that's one of the special things, period, about music and live music in particular, that, I mean, maybe even leading up to the pandemic, I think, certainly a large portion of the public was starting to take for granted, I think, in an odd way, right? Yes. That how different of a connection it is to be in a room with a band, pouring their guts out, and to feel that, and to relate to it in your own ways, because everyone takes has their own connections to these songs and things, right? And I mean, certainly worldwide, that attitude has changed. I'm really hopeful that this kind of, I mean, look, the pandemic's terrible, and what's going on worldwide, and the number of people who died and stuff is awful. But if there's a silver lining of some point, it should open some people's eyes to how important it is for everyone to be connected and to be able to have intimate moments with even, because it sounds funny to say you can have an intimate moment with 100 people, but you can. There's something special.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look at Woodstock, brother. There's 500,000 people at Woodstock.
Right.
You can't tell me there was an emotional connection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So it's great. I mean, around here now, we're starting to see things open up. I've seen you guys have been doing live streams from downtown. It's a different place than it was a couple months ago. It was dead, and now there's people again.
And I love it. I love the buzz. I love that vibrancy, that feeling. It's just because we kind of felt dead for a long time, and it wasn't just us, obviously the world. But it's so strange for me to walk downtown Argyle Street, either at 12 o'clock in the afternoon or 12 o'clock at night, and there's just nobody there. Nobody.
Yeah, it's bizarre, right?
And now to see it, it's just like it's just sparking up, and it's more alive, and it's. I just love that buzz, that excitement. That's something that makes you feel like you're alive,
Exactly. I mean, and that's what. I'm going to make like an old man comment here, even though I'm probably
my beard looks a little greater than yours. Just saying.
But there's this thing about there's this disconnection, even prior to COVID, of us and our phones, right? Where we're just the world is glued to their phones now. And especially kids these days, which again, there's the old man comment. Oh, kids these days. I'm not that much older.
You're
than them,
millennial.
But it's. I mean, musicians have a different perspective on that, right? Where they're, for whatever reason, creative people are more kind of in touch with what's going on internally, or certainly a lot of them are, because they have to. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to get out real art, right? And I think that's what it is for a lot of us. Is it's a coping mechanism for life. And I mean, certainly for me, music has gotten me through so many things, and hard moments, good moments, the whole gambit. But there's been this disconnect that I hope that this pandemic kind of like nips in the butt, and whenever we come out of it, and I have to think that at some point, maybe it won't be exactly the same because there's some hard lessons to be learned from all of this. But when we're allowed to have like a full concert with 15,000 people or whatever, that maybe you see less of, I'm watching the concert through my phone, right?
Exactly. You're gonna more. You know what? I think if anything, people are going to pay more attention to. They're certainly going to realize what they lost, what was missing. But they're going to have, I think, hopefully, a healthy respect for what was gone, and a renewed admiration. Maybe is not the right word. Just
respect. Respect's the right
respect is the right word. Yeah,
it is because it's because that's part of what was missing. That's why we've had so much demonetization of. It's hard to make a living doing this now. It's friggin' hard. Rachelle and I both work at a radio station during the day, and I run the record label thing too. And that's all funding what we're trying to do with the band. And it's only through even a few lucky breaks this far that the band has been able to do what it has. If it weren't for a few specific people, we had some investments and things like that, we'd be in a very different place. And largely that's because you can't sell a CD now. You can't sell even MP3s are like kind of out the window. It's just streaming, and you got to get a ludicrous number of streams to make any money off of it. Yeah. So it came down to performing live. That was the only way to kind of make this work, right? Ticket sales, merch sales. I've said to the band, you guys laugh at me, but we're glorified merch salesmen, right? We play some music so that the people buy the T-shirt, right? Which is a little bit sad. That it's kind of come to that on a commercial level, but that's where it was for a long time. So hopefully this, makes some people pay attention to the value of music in their lives and the value of that, and even more so of specifically live music and having that personal connection and stuff. Because it would be great to see some legislation, like something's got to be done about the royalty payouts from radio and streaming and stuff, because they're non-existent now. And artists are getting, there's the flip side of it is that we have a better ability than ever to connect with people, right? We have a huge fan base down in Brazil that like lives and dies over everything that we do. Here and there I'll crack jokes about, if let's say we've got a hater, I'll be like, we'll stick Brazil on them. It's cool. Right. But really there's this giant fan base that not that long ago had I been born, 10 years earlier, potentially we wouldn't have been able to connect with. would never, or certainly not this early in kind of what we're doing, right? So that's great, and is, you know, and there's many bands who are seeing even bigger benefits of that, who have these giant international fan bases. But how to take that and make the leap from I do this at night and work a day job to I'm going to do music so that I can make better, because this is what it comes down to. I want to make better art, and I want to make more music and better music for you guys, because that's really the reason that we do this, right? Is to have, because it's the same thing for us. We have that connection with the audience as well, which is, you know, massively important to what we're doing. It wouldn't be the same if there was no one to play the songs to, I guess, put it that way, right?
Well, you're right. And what you've been able to do with a very good accuracy, I'm sure, is you can actually find out exactly where your fan base is. So you have a big following in Brazil. Now, take us back 30 years, whereas like you couldn't get that accurate, pinpointed location of where your fan base was just by song play on a radio, unless they were calling up specifically and asking for that song, you know, and it'd take weeks and months and sometimes years to find out where your following was. So now that you know, the tricky part is now we're 30 years back today again, and there's no big money, which wasn't money anyhow, record label money. So you want to put a tour together, go down to Brazil to play to your fan base. That's pretty tricky without a supporting tour along the way. You know what I mean?
That's a process. We've looked. I mean, prior to the pandemic, obviously, we've looked hard at how to make that happen. Because arguably, we have more fans in Brazil than we do in North America.
Wow.
Well, probably not arguably, like definitively, when we look at where we're being streamed and where, you know, where our likes are coming from on Facebook and stuff. But yeah, getting there is hard, and getting your gear. I mean, I don't mean this offensively to anyone down there, but getting your gear through customs is not a given, right? Things like that. It's just it's the reality of, unfortunately, some parts of the world that are impoverished, that people are desperate and doing what they have to, and I totally get that. But you know, it's hard to keep everybody safe and secure, let alone the logistics of, oh, we got to fly, you know, our speakers and guitar amps and drum kit and all this kind of stuff down there. It's difficult. So the flip side of that is that, yeah, previously you would try and rely on, even if it was mailed out CDs, right? That we could do. But streaming is, I guess it's the way of the future, which is great. And we have lots of streams there, but how to take that and turn it into more is very hard to know. It's certainly not obvious. If you talk to someone who has an answer to that, feel free to shoot me a line.
Well, I mean, like, I'll figure it the fuck out, because I've been asking every single person and rack my brain trying to figure out, because you raised a very good point with the value of live music, the value of an artist, the value of the artist's products, their pieces of work. You know, you can't devalue that, and this is what we've seen happen. And Sean and I signed since the mid '80s to now. It's like, oh my God, it's like we could go play places and we would get paid, you know, $4,000 to $6,000 to $10,000 to $12,000 a week. You know, we had a big overhead, granted, but I mean, and you had a big rock show, but there was money to be made. You can't do that. You can't play 7 days in a row anymore. You know, you're lucky to get.
No, there's no. Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's a different world that we're living in right now, and I hate the word new normal. It's fucked up. Yeah, that's what it is. So like going forward, like, we need to create our own, you know, new natural, not new normal, whatever's going to be, but whatever's going to be that's going to work for you know, humanity. You know what I mean? And part of that humanity has got to be art. It's got to be there, whether it be a comedian, whether it be a film, whether it be music, whether it be somebody sculpting something. I mean, like, it's important to feel something. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of folks have been missing the last 3 months. You're awful quiet there, Rachelle. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get a word in when
sorry, I'm bad for that.
He talks a lot. But yeah, no, it's true. It's not like, you know, before, when, you know, you could jump in a van and tour across the country and actually make some kind of profit. And nowadays it's like, okay, if you want to tour across the country, it's successful if you don't lose 10 grand. and you're not in a huge deficit afterwards.
Certainly for indie bands.
Yeah, that's the success point. Like that's what I've heard from other artists. They're like, yeah, a successful tour is when you don't lose that much money. So.
Wow.
And we've been lucky. I mean, we've done 2 substantial tours in the last couple of years, just before Rachelle joined the band, actually, that we didn't lose. One of them we made a little bit of money in the end, and then one of them the net was like minus $60 or something, like one of the tanks of gas. But the amount of work and planning involved to get there was extreme, right? And we had to do fundraising, and we had to do busking while we were there and things like that to kind of make it. But it's possible. It's certainly possible. But you hit on a really good point there about the venues thing, because it used to be certainly in Halifax, even in my lifetime of being downtown. I remember when I started going downtown, there was live music every night somewhere, at least somewhere, right? Okay. And it's changed. I mean, there's DJs are kicking around, and not that I have any really big issue with that, but I'd rather watch a DJ with a rapper, with a guy up there who's not just click and play on a laptop, because no what DJs do, but most of what they're doing, which certainly has value, but they're doing it before they get to the venue. If they're mixing songs and having songs transition into each other and stuff, that's all, they've programmed that ahead of time. Which again makes sense, and there's certainly I'm not trying to devalue what they do. There's a lot of skill involved with that. I have a good relationship with DJ Ivy here in town, who Brian, what's his last name? I forget. I know I call him Ivy, but he's a Classifieds DJ.
Okay.
And that guy's a friggin' wizard. There was an event that went on down at Sniggly Wiggly's. God, I want to say 7 months ago, before Christmas.
Okay.
That they brought in, it was think of it like the equivalent to a battle of the bands, but for DJs.
Oh, yes.
But they had to mix on actual records, which a number of these kids in there had no idea what was happening. Like, they had no idea. But watching DJ Ivy on the boards was amazing, and the smoothness in grabbing a record from behind him and putting him in, and it was very, very, very cool. So I'm not one of those guys who's saying there's no talent in DJing, because there definitely is. But again, it's not the same thing as having a performer up there doing that in front of you, right? So it's again, like you said, hopefully we see a change in that. I mean, there's some of that happening already, even in just the desperation of people trying to get events and stuff going. When we did that Carlton gig, which so far has been the only show where we've done since the pandemic hit. We do have another one we're planning in September or October.
Where's that?
But we sold that out in a day.
Wow.
That was the one at the Carlton.
Okay,
yeah,
but the one coming up in September, October, where's that?
Oh, that's probably going to be Monty's, is where we're looking at. Because they have enough space that we can get, probably get 100 people in there.
Yep.
Carlton, we 65, because we want to, the other side of the shoe is we're cognizant, we want to keep people safe, right? Everyone, I'm not someone who says, well, we're in the middle of a pandemic, but screw it, let's just crowd a whole bunch of people in the room. I get it. I get that we need to have the social distancing and you do the tables and stuff. But if we can get a bigger venue, let's get more people. That's kind of my take on it. And Monty's, I mean, you've been in there. The sound system's amazing. And, Zach Lacey is our usual sound guy anyways, but he's super familiar with the venue and can't go. Zach's amazing.
Yeah.
Zach's like my new best friend.
He's a great guy. He was up for, I mean, did they do proper ECMAs this year?
No,
I missed it.
It was online.
But last year Zach was up for Sound Engineer of the Year, so shout out to him for that. Hopefully he's going to win it at some point in the not too distant future, I think.
We were with him last night. He came with us to the radar base.
yeah, we had a great time. He's going to do, and Zach's part of the team. And that's something, again, that we've been really lucky to develop over the years is you see the 5 of us on stage, right? But there's people working with us and behind the scenes that are intricately important to what we do, that you could call them band members and I wouldn't have a problem with that. Our sound is not the same.
Shout them out. Who is it?
Well, the big ones are Zach Lacey doing our sound.
Andrew.
Yep.
Does our
all
music
of our videos,
and he did our photo shoots.
Yep. And he's working on some stuff so that we can have some audio visual in the shows, like up on the screens, on screens and things behind us. So hopefully that's coming in the not super distant future. I mean, pandemic permitting, I suppose. Ethan Anderson, who's one that a lot of people wouldn't know, but he hosts Drag the Waters on CKDU.
Saturday night, 8 o'clock.
Yep. Saturdays at 8 o'clock. He's just been a supporter since the very beginning, but he's done everything from working our merch tables to working the doors to hauling equipment, like just whatever we need. Right. He's kind of like no matter what we need, he'll go and get it, or he'll do this, or he'll do that. So he's been super, super important. And then we're getting into the, oodles of fans and stuff out there. You got Teresa and Sean Blackburn, who have been unbelievably helpful. They worked the door at our album release party. Teresa's done it at a number of events. Sean is always there. He's the last guy to go home if he's come to one of our shows, because he helps us haul all of our gear out if he's there. Nice. Right. So it's nice, and I'm very thankful to have developed those kinds of friendships, but certainly fans with people, and it's not just here. We've got Elise Mower has been really helpful over in PEI and pulling out people for us. There's a couple people up in Moncton and Fredericton. We've got people who care enough about what we're doing to get involved and to be like, how can we help and what can we do? And no, we don't always have some, but they're the first people to jump at it when it's, hey, we need someone to put up posters for us because we're coming to Moncton in a few weeks, like that kind of thing. So it's really nice to have those kinds of fans.
That's a beautiful thing right there. And that only stems from someone's belief in an artist. You know what I mean? They're going to go that extra mile. So don't ever discredit what you folks are doing, and it may seem bleak sometimes. Maybe you want to give up. Remember those people, because they believe in you, brother, and that's important. You know what I mean? That is important that you keep going and keep giving them that purpose too. I think it's powerful. That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a big family.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, let's look at that boo-hoo moment. All right.
Yeah, no, it's
I'm over now. Tell me what's going on for the future. We got a little bit of time here left now. So what do we see next for Dali Van Gogh?
Well, you go ahead, Rachelle.
Well, that's a tricky question. I mean, if you had asked us that in the beginning of March, it would be, we'd have a much more clear answer of what our path was going to be even 6 months out. Now it's a bit different. We're going to be working on our music video this weekend, and then hopefully we'll have a good release show for that.
We've got the single coming out, so Boneyard will be out.
Singles coming out.
I believe it's the 18th of September, but I can double check that. But it's mid September. It's going to be hitting everywhere.
And then we were supposed to open up for Buck Cherry at the Marquee. That obviously didn't happen. We have they rescheduled it to November 17th, but again, that's still up in the air. I'm not
cross your fingers that they open the door. Although
because it's not just about being able to play. It's they're an American band, so would they even be able to get here?
Yeah,
that's the thing. So we really just got to take it week by week.
That's
because things are opening up more and more as we go, and we plan accordingly. So
yeah, the one thing I can say for sure to preface or to add to what Rachelle said is that we're no matter what we're not going away. If we can't play, we're booking shows where we can. Like I said, we have this Monty's date we'll be announcing the finalized date. Probably going to be earlier or late October or earlier mid-October. Okay. Even when everything was shut down, we were doing live streams on the regular. We were rotating through the various band members and had lots of good response to that. So worst case scenario, we're going to do that. we've talked a lot about shooting a concert video of some kind, like a fully produced, mixed by Zach, with an actual mix off the board and everything, concert, so that if we can't get, if things start to get bad again, let's say in the fall, right? Which, we're hearing here and there, it might happen, might not, they keep the the Atlantic borders closed, maybe it won't, we'll see. But on the flip side for us, if they keep it closed, then we can't do Buck Cherry. So it's, it's kind of a slippery slope on what exactly we want. But the idea is that we're going to have this well-produced concert that, so if we're not playing, people can still see this is what we're doing right now. This is the news. Here's some of the new songs we're working on that we're hoping to release. We're going to release a number of music videos over the course of the next year, certainly, maybe 2 years. And then, like Rachelle said, besides that, it's kind of take it as it comes. We have to wait and see what the government lets us do. We'd love to tour again. We'd love to do the bases tour that we were talking about. And our relationship with the armed forces is very important to us.
Sure.
They've been really good to us, and we believe a lot. And I'm a guy who I know I could never be in the military. I don't have what it takes. So I have a lot of respect for people who do,
exactly,
and for the sacrifice that's involved. And
absolutely.
We had to back into.
No, they're heroes. So they deserve to be heroes. They're brave beyond words. You know what I mean? They do shit that we wouldn't do, right? This is why,
Yeah, exactly. So it's important to us to get out to them, and we want to get out to more of them. So that's a high priority, of course, for sure.
Well, I'm going to tell you, like, we're just put out of time. I'm just so pleased we had you in the show, because I feel like I get to know you all a little bit better, and I'm really excited to see what you're going to do next, because I can hear it in both your voices, and I'm glad you're back in the band, Rachelle. I am. It stems from self-belief, and it sounds like you got that in space. And it sounds like, like I understand the host fire. There's a lot of bad things that happen, but you stuck with it. You persevered. So don't stop. You know what I mean? Just fuck 2020. 2021 is gonna be much better. We all know that, right? You know what I mean? I can't wait to have 2020 hindsight. I keep saying.
I know, right?
But no, I think it's powerful what you're doing. I mean, your fan base alone, spreading over the world is exciting, and from our little show here, we're in now 12 different countries, 23 different cities, and I don't know why, but I'm really excited about the folks that we're with, and we want to keep on spreading the word, and not just locally, but internationally. It's that there's a scene, there's an entertainment need for folks, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just to laugh or to cry or to hug or to watch a movie or whatever it is, so you need to feel something. So that's important, and these guys from Dali Van Gogh are going to make you feel something, and I like the fact that you're that well diverse that you're going to have a ballad that you're going to be in your face too. I think it's cool to have it all. So good on you guys, seriously.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Thank you. And kudos again to you guys with all that you've grown this into. It's exciting, because there's not a lot of shows, certainly not ones out of Atlantic Canada, that are doing what you guys do. So it's really cool that you're giving this kind of little spotlight to people. So again,
that's exactly what it is. It was a spotlight. Like I was just going on my mind for going crazy trying to figure out what I could do. I'm Aquarius extrovert who talks for a living. I was like, oh my God, I could do something. I just can't sit in this house anymore, And Sean and I did a little radio show on a Lower Sackville community radio, and the producers like this. We said, hey, maybe we have something, but we know music best, but I don't want to stop there. I want to start, I want just to shine a spotlight on everything. If you're creating something, if you're an artist, I want to hear about it, and we want to put it out there and expose it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So, the two of you strike me as artists, and I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to run. Dali Van Gogh. Looking forward to what's going on next. You and I will touch base, Isaac, because we want to give a little bit of extra spotlight for things that are happening for the single, for the Monty's gig.
Oh, I'll keep you well informed. Yeah, for sure.
All right. And again, we're glad you're back, Rachelle.
Thanks. Me too.
All right. Guys, take care. Peace out.
Yeah.
See ya.
All right. All the best. Stay safe.
You too.